What's up, everyone? And today I'm bringing a deck report on my Brotherhood of the Fire Fist. Now, one thing I didn't want to mention before the video, most of these have a lot of text on them, so I will probably word stumble. I just want to point that out. I feel like I'm just going to end up stumbling over my own words. And without further ado, let's just get right into it. First, I run 3 Brotherhood of the Fire Fist Panda. Panda is one of your most important cards of the deck, although Brotherhood is kind of more of a combo deck, so there's a lot of important cards that fill all sorts of roles. But if you don't have a Panda or the next card, Elephant, it's going to become a lot harder for you. Now, Panda, essentially, if you activate a Fire Formation spell or trap card, you can special summon this card from your hand, and if you do, special summon a Fire Fist monster from your graveyard. So it's definitely really good. It's essentially become a free link 2 for the Eagle. I also run 3 Brotherhood of Fire Fist Elephant. Elephant is similar to the Panda, to where you can summon another Fire Fist, although Elephant, if it's normal special summoned, you send to face a Fire Formation spell trap you control to the graveyard to special summon a Fire Fist monster from your hand. Now, some of the Fire Formation spells have effects when they are destroyed and sent to the graveyard, and if you have Eagle on the field, you can ignore that restriction altogether and just summon it from the hand for free. So I guess these are... Elephant is more of a starter, while if you have a Fire Fist in the grave, then the Panda is also a starter. And the one you want in the grave most, well, not really in the grave, but you want to see most, I'd have to say it would be Brotherhood of the Fire Fist Raven. Raven is, I'd say, easily one of the most important cards of this deck. Whenever it is sent from the field to the graveyard, you can set one Fire Formation card directly, or one Fire Formation spell directly from your deck. And that's not once per turn, so let's say you normal Raven, link it away for, say, Almirage, you can set a Fire Formation spell, and then if you revive it and send it again, you can add another. So it allows you to keep extending your plays. So this is definitely a card you want to see. Also run 3 Brotherhood of the Fire Fist Dragon. Dragon, once per turn, if you activate a Fire Formation spell trap card, you can set one Fire Formation trap directly from your deck. And once per turn, you can send 2 face-up Fire Formation spell trap cards you control to the graveyard, start one Fire Formation monster in your graveyard, special summon it. And if you have the Eagle on the field, which the Link Monster Eagle essentially makes it to where you don't have to pay the cost of sending Fire Formation spells and traps to activate effects. You can literally just becomes a monster reborn. Now I run 2 Brotherhood of the Fire Fist Rooster. When this card is special summoned by the effect of a Fire Fist monster, you can add one Fire Fist monster from your deck to your hand. And sets an additional effect. Once per turn, you send one face-up Fire Formation spell trap control to the graveyard to set one directly from your deck. So essentially, it allows you to take one of your Fire Formation spells and switch it for another one from your deck. Well, not really switch, but send to add. Both are kind of as equally important, but I'd say Dragon is more important than Rooster, because Dragon is pretty much almost always going to be able to activate the effect special summon. But the one thing with the Fire Fist Rooster, if you don't have the Tensu, you're not really going to be able to do much with the monster you add unless it's the ritual monster. Also run the 1 Spirit. Spirit allows you to go into your tuner plays, and it cannot be used for a single summon or synchro material except for the single summon of a Beast Warrior type monster. When this card is normal summoned, you can target one level 3 fire monster with 200 or less defense in your graveyard, special summon it. That works for some of them, but not all of them. Rooster does work with. I also run Brotherhood of Fire Fist Buffalo. Buffalo, if it's in your graveyard, you can send a total of 2 Fire Fist Fire Formation cards from your hand and or field to the graveyard. Special summon this card from your graveyard. And also run the 1 Leopard. Essentially, if this was normal special summon this turn, you contribute 1 Fire Fist monster, set 1 Fire Formation spell trap card directly from your deck. So kind of like a 1-for-1. Also run the 1 Brotherhood of the Fire Fist Eland. Eland is definitely a card you want to end on because it's one of your few negations that you run in this deck. You can ritual summon this card with the Fire Formation Domain, and you can discard 1 monster, set 1 Fire Formation spell trap directly from your deck or graveyard. And when your opponent activates a monster effect, you send a face-up Fire Fist or Fire Formation card you control to the graveyard, except Eland, to negate the activation. Moving on to the spells, we got the 1 that's back at 2, which is Fire Formation Tenki. So on the next list, this might be at 3. And obviously, if it goes back to 3, you definitely want to up it to 3. Essentially, search a level 4 Beast Warrior monster from your deck. Next, I run 3 Fire Formation Tensu. Tensu is essentially a extra normal summon of a Beast Warrior monster, which is definitely very important for your plays because a lot of them like to be normal summoned, and there's not a lot of special summoning from the deck or the grave, so having that is definitely helpful. I run 1 Fire Formation Yoko. The reason I run this is because it's a continuous Fire Formation card. That's it. The only other thing it does is the effect really isn't all that important, because when you activate this fire, target face-up card your opponent controls, discard 1 Beast Warrior type monster, and if you do, destroy that card. So it's a little bit of destruction, but you don't really run it for that, more so you just run it to be able to send to add different ones. I also run 1 of the field spell, Fire Fortress atop Leoning Peak. This card can be really cool depending on your hand. So whenever you normal or special summon a Fire Fist monster, you place 1 Fire Fist counter on this card. And once per turn, you can remove Fire Fist counters on your field to activate 1 of these effects. You can remove 2. If your Beast Warrior monster attacks this turn, your opponent cannot activate cards or effects until the end of the damage step. 6 counters, add a Beast Warrior from your deck to your hand. 10. Special summon 1 Beast Warrior monster from your deck or extra deck, ignoring the summoning conditions. 2 you can get to easily. 6, sometimes 10 is very rare. I also run the 1 Fire Formation Domain, which is for the Ritual monster. I also run the 1 InGen, which is for the fusion plays. I'll only run 1, like, you can go into the fusion, but I don't really care for the fusion too much. So it's not really the play you're usually going to go for. Most often it's more or less to send to the graveyard. Because when it's sent to the graveyard, you can add a target 1 Fire Formation monster in your graveyard and add it to your hand. Next, I run 3 Circle of Fire King. It's kind of like a Monster Reborn in a way. You target 1 fire monster you control and 1 fire monster to your graveyard. Destroy that monster if you control, and if you do, special summon the other monster from your graveyard. So it's a 1-for-1, which can really work because the Link can Foolish a Fire Formation, so you can use this to get it right out. Next, I run 2 Double Summon. Now, I notice if you don't open Tensu, or you don't open a reliable way to get to Tensu, you're not really going to be doing much. So I kind of run this as like 2 extra copies of the Tensu, more or less. That way we most hopefully always have access to an extra summon. Now I also run 3 Pot of Prosperity. To be honest, the extra deck, I'd say in a turn you may only go into it 4 times, just because this deck doesn't really have like a huge special summoning power that can just special summon, special summon, special summon. And some of the cards are kind of restrictive, but the Panda unfortunately locks us into only special summoning Fire Formation or Fire Fist monsters, so you gotta more or less usually stick to that. And Pot of Prosperity can definitely help us dig, which is very useful. I run 1 Foolish and 1 Monster Reborn for extending. For the traps, I run 2 Ultimate Fire Formation Sento. Sento, when a spell trap card is activated while you control a Fire Fist monster, and a Fire Formation spell or trap, negate the activation. If you do, destroy it. Pretty cool, but it can be kind of situational, and you can only activate 1 of these once per turn, which is unfortunate. Moving on to the extra deck. I run 2 Brotherhood of Fire Fist Eagle. Eagle has a cool effect where, unfortunately, you can only summon it once per turn, but you can activate Fire Fist monster's effects without sending Fire Fist or Fire Formation cards from hand field to the graveyard. Then you can also target Fire Formation spell trap card you control, return it to your hand, and if you do, send 1 Fire Fist monster from your deck to your graveyard. So it becomes a Foolish. I also run the 1 Peacock. Peacock, you're mainly just going to go into on turn 3 or turn 2 if you're going second, because more or less it's essentially a change of heart or mind control, which is pretty cool. Also run the 1 Soundmaker Almirage. Very important, because if you open Raven, you definitely want to normal the Raven, then link it away into Almirage for the maximum plays. Also, of course, run the 1 Tribegate Ferret and 1 Shurug as a pretty good option to go into, although unlikely due to the Panda restrictions. But if you don't use Panda, then you don't have that restriction. I also run an Alpalosa and an Access Code Talker. For the XYZs, I run 2 Brotherhood of the Fire Fist Tiger King. The first effect allows you to set 1 Fire Formation spell trap card directly from your deck. And once per turn, you can detach 1 XYZ material from this card. Negate the effects of all phase 7 effect monsters currently on the field, except Beast Warrior, until the end of your opponent's turn. So it can be essentially a VFD for 1 turn. You also send 3 Fire Formation spell trap cards you control to the graveyard. Special summon 2 level 4 lower Beast Warrior type monsters with the same attack from your deck in face-up defense position. That may come up, that may not come up sometimes, but if you can go into Tiger King, that's definitely something I would go into. Also run 1 Brotherhood of the Fire Fist Cardinal. You detach 2 extra Z materials from this card to target 2 Fire Fist Fire Formation cards in your graveyard and or face up on your side of the field, and 2 cards in your opponent's graveyard and or face up on their side of the field. Shuffle those targets into the deck. So it's kind of disruption in a way. Obviously a much weaker disruption, but I run it more or less just because of the Fire Fist restriction of Panda. The same reason I run 1 of the Fire Fist Lion Emperor. Once per turn, you detach material from this card, then target a fire monster in your graveyard, add that target to your hand. Although you cannot normal spell summon that monster or a monster with the same name for the rest of the turn. A little bit of recursion in a way. Also run 2 of the Fire Fist Horse Prince, as well as the 1 Swan. Horse Prince is pretty good. This card is Synchro Summon. You can spell summon level 3 fire monster from your deck, but it's very unlikely that you're even going to go into the Synchro because you only have a collective of 1 tuner in the entire deck, and that is the Spirit. Swan's kind of same scenario, although that would just run the 1 continuous to go into it. These 3 you're most likely not going to summon, but if you have the option to go into the Synchro, I definitely would, because it can be a great extender. You can get your Raven or the Leopard, which is pretty good. And Swan can come up occasionally, but that's more or less just going to be Pot of Prosperity fodder.